Welcome to the She Wins podcast. I'm your host, Heather Sumlin, and today we are interviewing the fabulous Faith Pallone. She's become my very best friend over the past, I don't know, decade or more. And I want you to tell the audience a little bit about you, because I'm not sure which sides of you want me to share.
Oh, wow. Yes, you do know too much. You do know too much. Hi, I'm Faith Pallone. I am a former and forever pageant girl. Also the mother of 4, married to an amazing husband for a decade. And yes, so all things motherhood, all things pageant, all things sparkles. Also, I'm a registered nurse and will about to sit for my nurse coaching certification. So health and wellness as well.
Okay, what does I'm asking another question here that I did not prepare you for.
Let's see if my pageant training still.
Oh, can you still win interview?
I don't know.
Let's
see. We're going to find out.
We're going to see. Okay, what does a nurse coach do?
Helps you reach your health goals. So a nurse coach does not diagnose anything, doesn't tell you necessarily how to achieve your health goals, kind of guides you in the direction that you're already going. So if you, for example, prime example, if you have diabetes and you want someone to come alongside you, not necessarily a nutritionist, not necessarily your doctor, but someone to come alongside you and really point out the little things, little changes that you can make. So it's very similar actually to what you do, just more in the health or wellness space, getting your mindset, the things that you can control, the things that are within your control to help you control your diabetes better.
And then it's with any health goal.
Yes.
Ooh, that's really fun.
Yeah.
We'll have you back after you become an actual
excellent
nurse coach and have you coach me on some health-related situations. Okay, so tell me, what has been a defining moment in your life? And I know you have multiple.
Yes.
So whichever one you want to share first, and then if you don't share the one I'm thinking about, we'll do 2.
Okay.
We'll do 2 anyway. I just know you.
There we go. So defining moments are interesting just because typically you have many along your journey of life. The older you get, I feel the less defining moments you have that really change the trajectory of your life. So obviously in my early 20s, competing for Miss Texas, becoming first runner-up to Miss Texas, never actually achieving being crowned Miss Texas and going to Miss America, what to do after that and how my life has played out after that is a defining moment. And when your pageant career kind of ends or stops, definitely huge defining moment. Most recently, however, and I'm not going to date myself, but you have less of those. A month ago, I decided to step away from my nurse practitioner program and focus on my family. There are a lot of things that led up to that. Basically, the amount of time, the sacrifice that it takes to be in a high caliber program like that. The people who were paying that price were my kids and my husband. And despite my husband's best efforts, and he will tell you himself that he is not good at being a mother. He's just not. I mean, go figure. Like, God created him to be a father, and so mothering is not his specialty. But through all of that, feeling the calling to walk in obedience, that the Holy Spirit reminding me that he gave me these 4 little souls to shepherd and to help grow and to become good humans. And doing my nurse practitioner program, finishing the very first year, knowing I had 2 more years to go, I was not doing that. So I wasn't fulfilling the calling that I was given first by pursuing something else. And so I have stepped away, and now I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I'm not even working as a nurse right now, which is difficult for me because ever since I went to nursing school and became a registered nurse, I've always worked at least PRN somewhere. So it's a new chapter and definitely a defining moment to step out in obedience.
Now, obviously, I know all the layers to this as someone who talks to you all the time. But what I find interesting about this decision was I got to hear some of the meltdown moments when
I'm so glad you were there for that.
You're trying so hard to maintain a 4.0 while also maintaining a household, while also, trying to just keep all of the balls in the air. For a while, you were still nursing too and doing all of it. At what point do you think that something that maybe other people can take away, at what point do you realize that there's balls you have in the air that you need to actually set down?
Oh, goodness. You always feel that way. Mm-hmm. You always feel like you need to offload something. Mm-hmm. But the question is, what do you offload?
What and when and how?
Absolutely. Right. And I think that has the most to do with listening to the Holy Spirit for me. Mm-hmm. But if that is not what you listen to, then listening to your inner voice, your
like friends and family,
right? Friends and family, the people who know you, the people who love you, the people who have your best interest in mind. Because I remember my mom even telling me, she's like, "Are you sure you want to go to nurse practitioner school? You have 4 kids, 9 and under. Yeah. Are you sure that's something you want to do?" Before I even started. And you don't know what you don't know. And we all have visions of grandeur and think that we are superwomen. And we are. We 100% are. And there are so many things that we can do and so many things that we're responsible for. But at the same time, you can be a jack of all trades and a master of none. But is the master of none really what you want to be when you're talking about raising your kids?
For moms listening, 4 kids, 9 and under, what's the secret?
The secret is you are a hot mess express heading west towards a broken bridge. You just have to embrace it, and you just have to be okay with it, and you have to know, despite your best effort, nothing is ever going to be the hallmark moment or the social media highlight reel that is everybody else's life.
Okay, speaking of social media, I'm glad you kind of led there. When did you stop all social media?
I have been off all social media for the past 2 years.
What led to that?
It may have been longer than that, actually. Now, maybe going on 3.
It's been a minute. Yeah. It's been a while. So
maybe going on 3. What led to that? Conversations with my husband. My husband got off social media while we were dating. Mm-hmm. So he has not had any form of social media now in 14 years. And he's never missed it, doesn't care about it at all. For me, I noticed the mindless scroll, just the mindless scroll, particularly when my kids were little. And then I would get very irritated if they were interrupting my mindless scroll, which is just completely nonsensical. But also the dangers of social media and what it's doing to children's brains in particular, the epidemic of mental health issues that our kids have. So my husband and I were talking about it, and I told him I really think it would be easier if I was not on social media, and then we can just say, we don't do this. Our family doesn't do this.
Right.
And so he doesn't have it, I don't have it, and therefore our kids, when they get to the point where they can or want or whatever, social media, we can decide either we have a family account that everybody in the family uses if we need it, because I know as we're going along, there are a lot of cheer teams or schools that have different Facebook pages or Instagram pages or Snapchats or something, whatever, that we have a family account that we all use, or we just don't have it at all.
I find that I'm really fascinated to walk alongside and watch this from afar on how this is going to work with 3 girls.
Oh, I don't think
it's going to be fun.
Fun is probably not the word I would use, but it'll be interesting.
But I'm excited that you're willing to. I don't want to call it a sacrifice, but in a way, it's a sacrifice because one of the things that social media provides is an opportunity to learn what other people are doing. You kind of get like this inside look into your friends and family and whatever, and they assume you've seen all their stuff.
True. That is hard. That is hard because you don't see somebody for a while, and it's not somebody that's like in your inner circle. Like you and I talk multiple times a day, so I don't even need to look at your social because I know exactly what's going on with you. But people you haven't seen in a while automatically assume that that you know things. And then when you don't, they're like, oh my gosh, how do you not know? Well, I'm not on social media. And then it, opens the whole discussion. However, it's so freeing. It is, you're talking about dropping the balls earlier. Like, what balls do you put down? Social media is a great ball to put down. It really is. Because so many wonderful things come from it. However, we were talking about motherhood before and how do you do it. You don't want to be constantly looking at other people's highlight reels of the professional pictures that really is the only one good shot that they got out of all of their kids tantruming and had to probably superimpose at least one person's face. You're looking at all of these expecting that this is what their life is like all of the time, and it's very rare that you're going to find somebody who's actually being 100% authentic without a curated look, brand, whatever on social media. You're just not going to find it. So
do you feel like you spend more time reading,
yes.
listening to podcasts,
Yes.
watching, specific documentaries or whatever? Do you fill your brain with things that are more valuable now?
Absolutely. I've always been an avid reader, though. My husband has put like the book ban in our house. Like, I'm not allowed to buy more books because I have filled all of our shelves, and I have some living under my bed. So, book hoarding is real for me in our house. But yes, I'm an avid reader, avid podcast listener.
So if we go backwards here a little bit. In the very beginning, you mentioned the different defining moments. So obviously you walked away from nurse practitioner school to really invest in your family, which I find to be noble. Walking away from pageantry was really interesting. So this is how I met Faith. Okay. You were participating. You don't want us to do the math. So relatively early on in my coaching career, I met you as you were competing for Miss Texas, and I think it was the second year we worked together when you were first runner-up.
Yes.
Okay, so what happened for those of you who don't follow the Miss Texas organization?
Or it's been a hot minute.
Or it's been a minute, or you've like come along the scene like later. Faith was, the year that she was first runner-up, she was also... They do overall awards, or they did at the time. I think they still do. So you were overall interview, overall swimsuit, overall talent. Then you might have won a community service award or something. I don't know.
Two that year.
Two
Miss
community
America and Miss Texas.
Oh, Miss America Community Service Award, but those don't count for points. It's just really cool. And so it was interesting because, and you're first runner-up. There's lots of reasons for that. There's a top 5 ballot, so the way in which the actual scoring is done. Also, the one who won, Rebecca Robinson, who won, is an absolutely marvelous human. And she was...
Fabulous Miss Texas.
And she was preliminary winner. So it wasn't like... And it's interesting, but I think, if I recall correctly, it was a very difficult blow, though, at the same time. Like, on one hand, you're super grateful for the experience, grateful for the extra scholarship money, grateful for the awards, but then also feeling a little bit like, wait, what more could I have done?
Right.
I won overall all these things, and then I still walk away without what I came for. And that was interesting, what to do with that.
Yes.
And so how did that affect you? And we'll go in more detail on the Patreon channel for pageantry because there's a lot more lessons, I feel like, that are pageant specific. But what did you learn about yourself through this period of time?
I learned really what it meant to have subjective opinions placed on you, right? So the 7 judges however it fell,
Mm-hmm.
it's their opinion. And my dad was always so wise to say to me every year that I competed for Miss Texas, well, honey, if they're looking for a blonde dancer, it's not you.
Mm-hmm.
Because my talent was singing.
Yeah.
So if I'm not what they're looking for, I'm not what they're looking for. Does that make me any less worthy?
No.
Would it have made me, means that I would have been a worse Miss Texas? Not necessarily. Is that have any bearing on, and of course this is hindsight, right?
Yeah.
So at the time, there were lots of emotions.
Right.
But looking back, I mean, you can't, everybody wins for a reason, and the people who don't win also don't win for a reason. So yes, defining moment at the time, because that was learning to deal with disappointment, which is a very big lesson, which particularly I can tell you from my children's point of view is not their favorite lesson to learn by any stretch of the imagination, but something that I feel is just as important as feeling the high of achieving a goal is feeling the disappointment and not.
I think it's interesting because obviously I know you pretty well. So years and years and years later, I get why that happened. And not always do you get why it happened. Sometimes
True.
you go for the win, you don't get the win, and you never really know why. But I feel like you do know, or at least had some sort of realization is, oh, this wouldn't happen in my life if that would have come true.
Absolutely.
So I ask everyone the same question. How do you define winning?
I define winning probably differently now than I did then, obviously being results driven. I will tell you that year I won. There was literally nothing else that I could have done to be better prepared, not just to compete for Miss Texas, which obviously by the result and all of the awards that I won, I was obviously incredibly prepared for competition. But there was nothing I could have done differently to have been prepared also for the job of Miss Texas, which is also evident by the Miss America and Miss Texas Community Service Awards that I won that year. And so that is winning, because I confidently walk into every job interview I've ever had. I have had a lot of opportunities to sing national anthems places, have met so many wonderful people that have been instrumental in my life since and because of those experiences and training and leading up to that. So that was a win. And other than the disappointment of not getting to compete at Miss America, I don't really know that being Miss Texas would have added anything else to my life, to be perfectly honest.
Well, it was one of those things where it was an opportunity for one individual.
Right.
That individual did an amazing job,
Absolutely.
a spectacular job. And while that wasn't you, that doesn't lessen who you are.
100%.
And that's what I want all girls to understand. Like, you cannot control results.
No.
Especially in pageantry, you cannot at all control results. You can't control the opinion of strangers.
Well, and even one judge can't control the result.
No.
So
No.
you're just kind of at the mercy of math some of the time.
Sometimes that's scary.
True.
So tell me a little bit more about advice you've been given throughout your life, whether that be family, friends, coaches, mentors, dare I say husbands. Like, what's some advice that you've been given that you think has made the biggest impact on you?
Well, I have to preface this. So my grandfather, my dad's dad, was, bless him, an amazing man. One of my favorite human beings ever to walk this earth. And he very much was one of the grandfathers who had always had a pearl of wisdom to share. And so we called him Big Fred. So they're Big Fred-isms. They still live on to this day. The thing that he told us over and over was, you get more out of what you inspect than what you expect.
Ooh.
And I cannot tell you how many times that has saved me, whether that be in school with a group project, checking in with people, making sure that they have done their job, or someone who's supposed to have done something for you, whether it be a phone company that is supposed to have canceled some service or what have you, you get more out of what you inspect than what you expect. And if you don't have expectations, you're never disappointed.
So kind of lower the expectations,
On,
but do your
on other
research.
people, not for yourself.
Right.
Don't
okay.
lower the expectations for yourself, but the expectations you place on other people. Because I think being married and our husbands are pretty similar. And I think if they ever met, they would be best friends.
Yes. It'll happen.
Yeah, it will.
It'll happen.
But I mean, I think that we both can easily say that in anybody who's been married, the majority of the time you get upset, it's because, or your spouse gets upset with you, it's because they had an expectation of something you were supposed to do or have done or take care of or
That was
fill in
all
the
of our
blank.
fights when
Right.
we first got married,
Right.
for sure, and probably still so.
Absolutely.
But all of our arguments were, he expected me to be a certain way. Oh, I'll tell this part. So I have to think about it, but I will. We might cut it, but we'll see. So when we first got married, my husband had this expectation that, and he'll say this out loud to people, that I was going to cook and I was going to clean and I was going to be, I don't know, Martha
June
Stewart.
Cleaver.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, did you see my apartment like when we were dating?
Thank you.
And did I ever cook for you the whole time that we dated? I'm just curious. And I think it's because that's how his mom was. Like, she was very, very good cook and very much on top of things. And that's kind of how she was. I'm very goal-oriented in other ways, and I'm very people-focused outside. And I love to be not home. And so I feel like he had an expectation. And so we argued over certain things. And then finally one day I was like, yeah, but have you met me? Like, let's talk this through.
Right.
And he's like, oh, wow. That's, it just takes a little bit of
That's a good
self-reflection. And same thing for me. There were things I'm sure he could tell on me if he wanted. He's not here, so we're not going to.
There you
But
go.
I know there were many things
Right.
that I had as expectations that were unrealistic. Oh, that he may not go to the lake all the time. He was going to the lake all the time when we met. And so why would I expect that he's going to stop his hobby that he loves so much just because we got married? No, that's not really realistic. So anyway, I like this. This is very good. Any more Fredisms?
Oh, goodness. Not that are coming to mind, but I'm sure next time we talk, I will probably have
You'll have
several.
like 3 of them.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite things lately is your daughter's in cheer.
Yes.
And so obviously I work on the mental game and mindset and that kind of thing and helping people overcome certain things. So how are we doing on the back tuck?
She actually, in her private lesson on Thursday, was doing the back tuck on the floor by herself. No coach standing there, which is huge, which is absolutely huge. So this is our second go around with we have our back tuck solid and we don't. And then we got it back and we had it solid and then we don't. So we're now going back to hopefully having it solid again.
And now I'm going to talk to her more. That's what's happening.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
No, it's really interesting to me because sometimes when you're a parent too and you're watching your kid struggle with something as
heartbreaking.
You can't do it for them. You can't will it for them. You can't make it happen. And it's the most difficult. It's not the most difficult place. I'm sure there's other difficult places to be, but it's one of the most difficult places to be is to sit and watch your kid get frustrated and angry. And you're like, you can do it. Like you have all the skill in the world.
And you've done it
over and over again.
Multiple times. Yes, and that's really the most heartbreaking and frustrating part as a parent is seeing how frustrated and down they get on themselves. I mean, I remember being in the car, and this was just a couple of weeks ago, after practice, she gets in the car, she's crying, she's mad at herself for being scared, for not throwing it, all of the things. And she looks at me and she can tell that I am feeling a certain way. And she's like, "Are you mad at me?" I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "I hate this for you." And we don't use the word hate in our house very often. "I hate this for you. If I could take it away, if I could throw it for you to make you throw it, I would die, but I would do it."
And I would
because I do not have.
I would love video footage of the effort.
No, you'd come visit me in the hospital because I would literally die. But I would. And she, of course, that made her laugh, which was great and kind of got her out of it. But I said, "I don't think you understand how hard it is for me to watch you be so upset with yourself because in your brain, you can do it, and you're letting fear take over your body and not allow you to throw this skill that you have had now. You've literally had this skill for 2 years."
It's been fun recently because I think she's at that age where she's ready and able to take like the mental management lessons that we teach and apply them to herself, and to see her grow in her confidence and her self-image
100%.
and like tackle this little tumble monster. It's been really exciting for me to watch from a distance. Okay, here's why our husbands have not met, because I'm sure someone in there is like, "Y'all are best friends and your husbands haven't met." That doesn't make any sense.
That's true.
We live an hour apart.
We do.
She has 4 kids. I don't have 4 kids, but I am busy. And so we had a dinner date scheduled in December. Then we had to reschedule. Someone got sick or something. Can't remember what the circumstance was. But we had to reschedule, and we're still rescheduling.
Yes. That is very true.
Because that's just how it works.
That is very true. But it will be hilarious when we finally do get our husbands together, because I'm sure that each of them have the exact same stories of what happens when we're on the phone and we're not paying attention to them. However, they're also very grateful.
Yeah, and I tend to talk to you when he's not around usually.
Same.
Typically.
So they actually really don't know how much we talk on the phone.
They don't.
That's true.
They don't know.
They might be slightly frightened.
Except when my husband works from home. The other day, he's like, "Do you want me to just go in the bedroom so that you can call Faith?" And I said,
"Yes, please."
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Absolutely.
And then your husband is like, "Get all your words out. That's fine."
Yep.
So it's been a blessing to have you as my friend.
Yes, of course.
And to talk to you literally every day. But I think one of the things that I also want people to understand is have someone like that.
Yes.
Really, truly have someone that you can do life with. Even if you don't live near each other, your best friend doesn't have to be in your zip code. So.
Well, and they don't even have to be in the same stage of life, because you don't have small children anymore.
Oh no, my youngest kid is 10 years older than your
right.
oldest.
Absolutely.
So
and actually that's kind of incredibly helpful, because you can lean on other people's experiences, and also sharing burdens, sharing just the burden of everyday life, no matter whether it's like this morning for me, having to have WrestleMania with my toddler hulking out, trying to get him in the car.
And then forgetting to get shoes.
And then literally forgetting their shoes, getting to the daycare to drop them off, and my littles don't have shoes. They just don't have them. So being able to share that burden, laugh about it, just, okay, come with me because Target is closer than my house. So we're going to Target. New shoes.
They're going to forget their shoes often. Be careful.
Oh, no. These summer clearance shoes, because in Texas, you can still wear them for another 2 months. So they'll get another 2 months worth out of them.
Perfect.
Yep. And they were on clearance. So
last piece of advice for our listeners here.
Goodness, last piece of advice. You're never wrong to do the right thing. Mark Twain said that. Although I don't know a whole lot about Mark Twain and the choices that he made in his life, that quote has always stuck with me because I feel like it's applicable to anyone, anytime, anywhere. You're never wrong to do the right thing. You just have you have to have the courage to do the right thing.
And just because everyone's doing it doesn't make it right.
Right.
Y'all have a blessed rest of your day. Like this if you do. Share it with a friend. Join our Patreon channel. Faith and I are going to talk a little bit more about some of the struggles that she's had as a wife and a mom for our women on our Patreon channel. And then for pageantry, we're going to dive into what was that transition like when you don't reach your goal and coming back after first runner-up. How did she handle this? What lessons did she learn? And how can you learn from her? Y'all have a blessed rest of your day.